So, welcome to the Mantic Universe podcast. This is your host, Matthias, speaking. And today I have a very nice guy on here. This is Glen doing the studio painting for Mantic games once in a while. And we have a quick interview on some questions regarding studio painters, painting in general. Good evening.
Hello, how are you, Matthias? Are you well tonight?
Yeah, a typical Monday, like for all of us. So, I mean, this won't be released on the Monday. Just we are living in a different time zone. So anyway, but we had a rough Monday today, and I'm glad that we can now get a more relaxed with a
Yeah,
nice little interview in here.
it's the first evening of summer being done and ended now, isn't it? It's definitely winter. It's dark outside
Yeah,
now.
it's not just dark outside. Today it was icy cold, and I had the dog out for a walk. Now I need to go back to get a different jacket because it's really now just from one day to another. It's terrible at the
It,
moment. So
yeah, it's winter now. It's happened.
yeah. Okay, so we know each other from the internet, so they say, and we have also met before at the Clash of Kings.
We
I'm
have.
following you on Blue Sky for a while, and you are, how to say, a very good painter to keep it down for, because it's like your stuff is awesome. And
Well, thank you.
so the first question is, so uh hobby painter, full-time painter, or studio painter? So how is this work for you? Is it still just a hobby or more professional?
So I have a day job that is nothing to do with the hobby. Um, so I can't say full time. Um, I've been a gamer or a painter for nearly 30 years to some degree. So a long time.
Yeah.
Um, but it's only recently that I've started doing it. Well, I say recently, about 2 years ago that I started painting for Mantic. Um, so I would say hobbyist first, in terms of gaming and painting. Uh, but then more recently toward, I don't want to say professional, but yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit more serious.
So did you to keep a follow-up question on here. So how did your learning curve go? Did you go on the lower level for quite a while until you wanted to make it more serious, or what is a linear gradation up there, or
So I would say that like a lot of people, I started the hobby quite young, and I was just sort of probably at a set level for a long time, cruising my way through a lot of old Warhammer armies or 40k armies, or
Mhm.
and for a long time I was a solid army painter, and I still don't really play with unpainted stuff. Um, it was only after COVID, and a lot of people are in the same boat, where once we were in lockdown and we couldn't go out and play, that's when I started to sort of really take notice of the quality, and I used it as an opportunity to try and increase the quality of what I was turning out. That all that time that we had sat in doing nothing,
Yeah.
that's when I sort of focused on trying to up my game a bit, and then ever since then it's sort of, I think, I don't know if I've plateaued at the moment. No, maybe not. I do try and push, but I can switch between being an army painter and then doing a more sort of, I suppose, display level sort of
Yeah.
a more display level model. So yeah, like I said, I guess a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay. So keep the work-life hobby balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know how it is.
Yeah.
There's like I said, there is all of that, isn't there? There's real work. Not that
Yeah.
not that painting for Mantic isn't real work. Let's just clear that up.
No, there's something you do to pay the bills, and then there's the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The way I see it is that the commission work pays for the hobby, so like I said,
Yeah.
it covers the cost of doing that and takes that out of my monthly rotation of bills.
It's it's a good way of doing it.
Hmm.
And you are also doing the live streaming your hobby content. So,
Yeah.
how difficult is that one to keep engaged with community painting and concentrated things? So,
So this has been a bit of an experiment because I wanted to try and see if I could sort of, I don't want to say teach, but use it as a platform to run little workshops. Um, and sort of sit and talk my way through what I've been doing. And I think what I've probably learned is that Twitch, which is where I've been doing it, isn't really the platform to do that. Um, and the other side of it is that it's hard to grow a community, as you will know, outside of the Games Workshop sphere.
Yeah.
So, if you're sat streaming Space Marines, it's not a problem. If you're sat streaming anything else, the numbers aren't huge. But I just do it for my own entertainment anyway. Really,
Yeah.
in terms of actual painting, it is hard to paint on a camera. I know that you hear a lot of people say it, but it's difficult because you don't realize how much your posture changes from when you're painting normally to painting under a camera, and you're also painting under a camera and trying to get your voice down a microphone at the same time.
Mm.
So it's a level of multitasking. Like I don't do my best work on stream because I can't.
Yeah.
But I think I've
I
learned
mean,
that now.
I'm how to say on a little learning curve here too, was if that regard, because we obviously as a hobby channel try to make tutorial videos or unboxing videos and things like that. And this, I mean, I struggle a lot to like doing myself, so two cameras to have me filmed and talking, and the models filmed and talking. It didn't work out for me, so I need to do it in 2 takes to get things done, or to do record the voiceover afterwards, because
Yeah.
I can't really, I either lose the focus on the models or on the talking,
Mm.
depending on what I'm doing. So that's why
One
I'm
thing
not
I
the kind of guy.
well, one thing that I do enjoy about it, or that I've been trying to do, is rather than saying it's a tutorial to paint, say, a placoderm, it will be a tutorial on how to paint blue. So
Mm,
rather than saying specifically follow this to paint your specific model, this is a bit of general guidelines to like theory about how you would paint blue, what it would sit next to well in terms of the color wheel or not, what to
mm,
shade it with, how to highlight it. And if you sit when I'm sitting and streaming, if I do that and I don't particularly have to get anything done in that session, if I can sit there for 2 or 3 hours and sort of talk about that rather than concentrating specifically on getting a model done, if that makes sense, then I think that's
yeah,
a bit of a better platform.
yeah. Okay, so no chance to have a high level content painting on camera, or at least not on live stream.
I know some people do it, but I can't.
Yeah. I, I don't know how they do it. It's like it's maybe, but it's okay. So yeah, the average hobby guy, I'm glad you struggle with those things too. It makes everything a little bit more. It's not a me
Absolutely.
problem. It's just we are the average people in there. There are those who can do it. We don't know how they do it, but maybe we learn on sometimes on a
Oh,
point.
that's it, isn't it? Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone stops learning. It doesn't matter to what height you
No.
get. But yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the younger listeners now will turn their eyes over, or struggle with that one. But we are in the hobby for a long time now, and we are still learning on things like,
Oh, of course we are.
especially this is thing. And you mentioned you're now 2 years in for Mantic. So how did this thing start with Mantic Games to become a studio painter?
This is it. This is. I like this story. I'll be honest. I have told this before on this podcast because I was on talking about Halo stuff with Dave
Yeah.
at one point. But the shortened version is that Clash of Kings 22, 3. I can't remember one of them. I won a hobby award, and at the time, Mantic would. I don't know if they'll do it this year or not, but they did. They did then. They did it. They organised a day where the winners of the hobby awards could go down to Mantic HQ in Nottingham and have Ben Sandham, who is the photographer for Mantic, have him do professional level photos of your army. So I won
Mhm.
this hobby award. It wasn't. It was one of the judges' choices. So it was my Night Stalkers. So yeah, it would have been 2023. So I won a judge's choice, and then a few months later, or weeks later, I was putting an email saying, "Hey, you're the winners of the hobby awards. We're going to do this day down at Mantic HQ," and it got arranged through that. So I turned up, happy days. And while I was there, the guys who were a bit more well known to Mantic than me, I think probably the guys who won the top 3 awards from that year, got sort of taken off to a special side room and and shown something, and I didn't know what it was. I wasn't included in this, so okay, whatever it be. So then I got back, like I got back from the day. It was a great day, but I got back from it, and then the email chain that had organised the day started up again, and they started saying, "Oh, does anybody want some resin masters from the upcoming Halo game to paint and then put on social media?" So I instantly went, "Oh yeah, go on, I'll have a couple of those just to see what they're like to paint them." So I got for the original fire team from Halo, I got sent a copy of the resin masters for those, painted them up, put them on socials as you do, and then a few sort of weeks, months after that, I got a message from Mantic saying, "Hey, we've got a proposition for you. We've seen you paint these Halo models. Do you want to commission paint some more of them?" So that's how it started, really. And so I started with some of the Halo stuff, and then now I've worked onto the King stuff, which is enjoyable. I quite like it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're on the Halo podcast when you have painted the Halo models. So, but so, I know not everyone is into this IP from Mantic, but you definitely should check it out. The models are wonderful, and also your paint jobs on them. And it's kind of how to say interesting how the Halo IP grew Mantic as a company as well, because like reaching out to the hobbyists for professional painting and help on commission painters wasn't really a thing with Kings of War before. I mean, they had their studio painters, but the level was always a little bit different, which, how to say, Mantic's paint jobs are controversial from time to time, and I can see they are appealing when they get a very professional painter in there, like Angelo Giraldes, and everyone says, "Yeah, of course, he can make every model look awesome." And then you get an average painter in there who makes a like average paint job, and they will say, "Yeah, the models don't look good because this is just the paint job." And then we get the models in head and say, "Yeah, obviously it was just the painting. The models are much painted." So how do you balance this out when you do commission paintings?
So I find a lot of it, especially in the world that we live in now, a lot of it is about the photography as well as the paint job. And I think that if you go back sort of 4 or 5 years looking at the Kings of War range, I think a lot of the issues that you found with that were more to do with sort of the photography side. Like if you ever tried to sell someone on Kings of War and said, "Go and look at the Mantic website," it was quite hard to really get a decent close up. I can see what that is quality photo, and I think that's some of it. But in terms of how I do it as a commission, it's a difficult thing. Like that, you can go and talk to all sorts of different people throughout the hobby sphere about commission painting, and is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What does it do if you start to do commissions? How does it affect your hobby? And I treat it very much like it takes some of the soul out of it, but you have to treat it like a business. So if Mantic will send me the concepts for something, and we'll have to agree a price. So my price is based on sort of my estimation as to how long I think that'll take. So when those models do arrive, it kind of gives you a timer to paint to, because if you again, you're taking the soul out of it, but it's becoming a labor process. You know what I mean? It's becoming almost a manufacturing process. So it's about balancing your time with quality for me. So obviously everybody will have a different sort of speed of working. And I've always said to myself, you want the highest quality for the amount of time you have available. So if I had 8 hours a day, I'd want a higher quality. If I have 2 hours a day, I'd have to regulate that quality for that time. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. This is usually the difference between the hobby and the professional, because it's art is always tricky to price, because you cannot like go with what is the minimum wage per hour and then charge this one for art, because you often put way too many hours in there that no one is going to pay for what you get out of it also.
Yes.
So this is so you have to be, so it's how to say, it always depends what you want to do in the model. You want to make your best, but you also want to stay on the budget. You also want to stay on time. And if you have a time frame and schedule and say, I can't take 2 months to paint a model that need to be ready in 2 days. This is like,
Well, that's the other side of it as well, is that you will have a deadline, like a date that you have to hit. So
yeah,
obviously I've got to balance this around a family and around my day job. So making sure I've got enough time. And Mantic have been very good with that. You know, I was straight from the start. I was like, I said to them, I'm not
yeah.
I'm not a professional studio painter. I'm not at this 8 hours a day. And they've been fine with that. So yeah, like I said, it's been an interesting experience from my side of things to learn it, because I've not done many commissions in the past, apart from these. But yeah, like I said, it's definitely got a lot more interesting with the stuff for fourth. At the end of the day, Kings is the game I play from Mantic, really. So yeah, as soon as the fourth stuff they started hinting at that, I was all over that.
I mean, I have to say, I appreciate Mantic to go out to the hobbyist painters for their model paint job, because this is something everyone can achieve to a point. So if you look at the model, say those look awesome, I want to have doing something similar. This is achievable because it's a you are doing it as a semi-professional hobby next to your job. So this isn't something that you need to be a super professional 12-hour painter a day to be on that level. So this is something everyone else could get out there. This is something I really appreciate now.
Absolutely, and I think the one that possibly kicked it off as well was before they sent some of the Halo stuff. They sent me some of the Twilight Kin. What are they called? The big guys with the shields.
Yeah, that one.
What are they called? Whatever they're called. They sent me a couple of sprues of those just as samples, in the same way that they did with the Halo models. And I painted those up. You can go and find them online somewhere. I painted those up sort of just pre-release, just as a social media thing. And I think that was the run of models that got the attention of like the Kings of War community. And quite a few people were sort of saying on those posts, they were sort of saying, "Hey Mantic," like they were tagging Mantic into my posts and saying, "Hey Mantic, get this guy to do your to do your studio models." So I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's the impalers.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's very well. Following up on this one, do you have or do you need to do a different style of painting when you know it's going for internet showcase or to be photographed out there, or do you just do it a regular paint job? Because I drop here an anecdote in there that we got from a long time ago on a story from Games Workshop, when so for us old school gamers, they had a very bright and colorful paint job in the old army books, so around the 90s, with 4th edition, 5th edition Warhammer and 40K. And the reason was that they said they cannot get any good photographs of darker or more realistic looking models to be printed on. So is this something you can recognize with your work?
So I think there's two sort of sides of this, and one of them is that you know the sort of very high level painterly, what you would call like a painterly style, where you have volumetric highlights. So where you would have the shadows of the model on one side and the light source from another side, and all that sort of high level painting, that doesn't really suit this kind of this kind of environment, because at the end of the day, you want that product photo to show off what the product is. So if you have some of that product where the silhouette is broken up because you can't see the shadow, or it's over highlighted on one side, it's where I know there's a lot of GW comparisons, but it's the reason that the heavy metal style is the heavy metal style, because it's all painted as if it's all catching the same light, and it shows off the model's silhouette,
Yeah.
and it shows off the sculpting, and it shows the product that you will be buying. That's why it's on the front of the box. So that's the first sort of side of it. And the second side of it is that, and a few people know this already, but you over highlight, you highlight way higher than you think you would do normally. So you can see the Xirkaali guy in front of you with the orange sort of tabard. When you get that in reality, the highest highlights on that are almost ivory, because it's basically no longer orange. They're very, very light, because the camera picks up on them better, for nothing more than that. So yeah, those are the two things to sort of get your head around, like you said. it's been a conscious decision of mine to, on the first half of that, to say this one's painting all around with the same illumination so that people can see the silhouette of the model. But then the highlighting thing I've had to sort of learn as I've gone along, basically through sending photos back to Mantic and them saying more highlights, please, because the camera can't see it. So fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, this is something. So for everyone listening to this on Spotify or on Apple Music on Amazon, Glen painted the Xirkaali Heroes. So look up on the Mantic website. We gonna probably link them down today. For those watching on YouTube, you now can see a picture of the hero on that we are talking about. Talking Xirkaali, the color scheme, at least on the Hemicons, is a little bit controversial because it feels too dark on the armor and things like that. So how much freedom is there actually with painting? Do you get a rough color scheme talking, or just to say paint what you think it should like, or they say this need to be the main colors? How does this work?
So on stuff that is existing, so to look at, just away from Xirkaali for just a second, I also did the depth horrors as a good example. There they are. So the depth horrors already had an existing hero model that had been painted by somebody else. So they physically sent me that model, the painted version, and said it wants to match this. So at that point, I had basically no creative freedom. The only creative freedom I had on these models was that I put the bloodstains on, but the rest of it, I basically had to follow a model I had in my hand. But the Xirkaali, I got sent a load of references. So some of the references, so the Xirkaali models I painted were the Jan Beastmaster, who's the guy in front of you, the Jan Lieutenant, however you want to pronounce it, on the horse. I did Zerzoi, I think his name is, the champion hero. He's the only Hermesian I did.
Okay.
The guy with he's got the little dragon next to him, little dragon dog thing. So I did him, and well, I think that might have been it. I think the rest of the stuff I did for fourth was the Trident Realm stuff. So I got sent a ton of reference pictures of various sort of Eastern, either existing other pieces of artwork or even references to films or games and like other media. But I also got sent some of the photos. There he is. I also got sent some of the photos from the work that another studio artist had done so far on the Xirkaali. So I knew that it had to sort of match in. I think it's a bit of a mishmash, as depending on how far along the design process Mantic are at the time that they send me the models. So Zerzoi, however you pronounce it, no one's going to get that right ever.
I think this is the deal about it, so that we all struggle with pronunciation for years.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're from, you're not going to get it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy I was sent. In fact, I think it's been posted now. If you go into some of the Facebook groups, there is an artist who did the concept art for him, and it's colorized. And I got sent that, and then the model, and they said make this model look like that. So that's sort of where that scheme came from. But like I said, on the sort of the Jan, the Beastmaster, and the Lieutenant, they were. I had a bit more creative freedom on them. I wanted to do a fancier freehand banner, but they wouldn't let me.
Okay, so this is what we already discussed in the lore episode. If the banner was something that chosen by the painter, or that Mantic commissioned that one, that it need to look like that.
So
because this is an army sign, so
yeah. So originally they said to me, just paint an orange flat banner. And I said, and I sort of gave a bit of kickback on that. I sort of said, well, you're going to want something on there. I was like, I was quite happy to do a bit of freehand on there or something. But they said, just do a stripe in the same color that matches that matches the odd highlights, the spot color. So I was like, okay, at least you've got something.
Yeah, I mean, it's how to say, I like the simplicity of the banner, because it's like easy to match symbol and things like that. So would also have been interesting, because we know there are 5 different claws for the
Yes.
Xirkaali army, so that each one get a different symbol on it. I know freehands on banners are always a little bit tricky, because this is something hard, because people then see it and want to replicate it, but it's very tricky to do things. So
Yes.
this is like
It's possibly why they said rein it in.
keep it simple and
Yeah, exactly.
recognizable.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a plan for when the Xirkaali land. I have a plan for what the banners are going to look like in my Xirkaali army, and it's going to be way more complicated than that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Watch your space.
we need to have a follow-up. So for everyone who is curious now to see that when Glenn puts them up, we are putting down his Blue Sky links and or his tweet link for Instagram Blue Sky,
Absolutely.
and you can catch up. Maybe we have a follow-up episode to showing things off now. So, but
Yeah, it'll be halfway through next year once the army is becoming an army.
yeah. I mean, this is, I guess, at least until Clash of Kings 26.
Oh
Things
yeah,
should
I
be
would have
ready.
thought so. Yeah, we'll be ready for
Yeah.
then. Well, I got second best painted at Clash 25, and part of that was getting a bottle of Mantic rum. So you know the
Yeah.
Goblin Blaster rum that they do. So I've got it on the shelf over there, and I've said to my friends who. So last time we rented a house for the weekend. There was 5 of us as the team. So I've said to my friends, I said I'm not going to open it until we get to the next Clash house. So next year, bottle of rum. House Clash. We're coming back. Xirkaali. I think we're nailed on.
But it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to see the army life anyway. So it's like,
I'm
so
picking it
if
up now,
anyone
aren't
didn't catch Glenn on social media, he will see pictures from me posted on the map.
I? People poking me. Where's the Xirkaali? Come on.
Yeah. As a follow-up question here, do you prefer the more detailed models to paint, or the ones with more free space? Like, is it easier for you to scratch off the details you don't like to have space to paint, or to add freehands on them?
It
Like,
depends what the model is for. So the example to probably talk about when it comes to scraping off detail is the Rift Forged Orcs that I just did for last year, and the Rift Forged themselves are very busy, and also when you're army building and you do want 20, 30, 40, 50 of these guys, I think having very detailed, busy models when you've got so many of them, it's very hard to give a unit a good structure and a good shape. So one of the things that like I said, I think worked really well on that army was taking all the detail on the shields back to nothing, and then I could do a nice smooth blend up the shield, so it unified the unit and then the army. That said, I've just painted, just for the fun of it, I've just painted quite a nice model from a rival company. It's Games Workshop, but I've just
it's
painted.
obviously limited.
Yeah. I've just painted an Inquisitor from them. It's the Warhammer Plus one from a couple of years ago, and it's so very detailed, but it fits perfectly for what it is. So it depends what the model is. Like, so characters, generally more detail is good, but I think rank and file troops, I quite like a bit of flat plate, a bit of something on there, because it draws the unit together and gives them a nice shape, and you can unify it by putting a big splash of color on there.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I see often. A lot of people struggle when they go into mass battle armies, when the models are too detailed and they feel overwhelmed with what they need to paint or what they should paint and how to choose colors, because this is also something people struggle with, is how to choose a color scheme. And then you get, because you want to that there are enough color charts online to follow with, so mix this and that colors, avoid that color if this color is already, and things like that. And then you get like, this is the 5 colors I want to use, and then you have 20 details on the models that need to be different colors to stand out, or and then it's like, how to do this, and it ended before it started. So this is like, so rank and file.
My advice on that is, I always do a test model first, and I'll probably put way longer into the test model to make sure it's right than the rest of the army. So I might sit there and do 3 or 4 hours on an orc, get it right, and then I'll look at the color scheme, and then I'll work it back and say, well, let's be realistic. I'm going to have to paint 50 of these guys or 60 of these guys. How long is that going to take? How many hours do I have per orc? Because it won't be 4, it might be an hour and a half. So if I've got 1 hour 30 to do it in, I then look at the color scheme and try and simplify it. So
Yeah.
when you're doing army painting like that, you want probably the skin of whatever your model is wants to be pretty high quality, and then something else that makes them stand out. So like I said, the Riffors had the shields. Shields are always a good one, but if not, then like shoulder pad color or something like that to unify them. Put the effort into the skin and that thing, and the rest of it, paint it probably 50% of where you want it to be. Do you know what I mean? Sort of, it might just be a case of a base coat and a wash, even, or a base coat and a wash and a dry brush. But if you can have that skin looking good and you can have a feature on each of the models to unify them all, I think that's how you do army painting. Nobody's got the time to do it any other way. Well, some people have, but I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, how to say, this is a crazy, or yeah, I don't know if crazy is the right word, but a crazy tip I got from a friend painting armies back in the days was to take the advantage of multi-basing, put all the models you want on that multi-base, prime it black, and when you paint then the regiment, everything the brush cannot reach stays black.
Yeah, that's another good one, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. If you know, I don't know if you know Alistair Vowles. He's quite often on our team at Clash, but he is the master of doing that. He'll 3D print a unit, stick it on its base, spray it black, and then dry brush the whole unit as a thing. Yeah. And he gets to be fair, he gets some really good results out of it. So yeah, it works.
It works. So this is also so like a difference between doing a display model, doing a hero, and doing an army. This is like,
yeah,
planning it out helps a lot in here to, and not trying to make the perfect detailed model for anything you won't never see because it's in the middle of a unit.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And again, you can put the effort into the monsters or the centerpieces, and that's what makes the army sort of kick. But the rank and file, you've got to be at least a bit sensible with it. If you're going to sit and do one per evening, you're never going to get your army done.
Yeah. So set your goals to a reachable value level, and then proceed with.
Yeah. And again, if you remember my Rift Forged, if anybody followed it on Fanatics, I started with a totally different color. Well, not totally different, but I started with a different color scheme, and all of the armor was sort of dark, almost very dark purple, sort of black to purple. And I was doing NMM on the weapons and things like that. And I think I did 7 of them, and I was like, I'm never going to do this. This is going to break me. I'm going to have to rethink this, because by this point I bought the army. It was all sat in boxes, and I'm thinking, I'm going to have to redo this, otherwise that's going to stay there. Yeah. So yeah, it's about being sensible.
So following right into it, how do you choose the colors for your army? Because you have the Rift Road. I've seen your dwarves and the Night Stalkers before. So how do you avoid to get the same color scheme every time, and how do you choose?
I think
what to do next.
A lot of it is in the background of the army, the fluff, the lore, whatever you want to call it. Like if you look at probably the Night Stalkers are a good example. I wanted the Night Stalkers. They look very sort of almost like bloody and fleshy. They almost look flayed. It's going back a couple of years now, but I sort of let the lore of like this sort of Cthulhu-esque horror that are the Night Stalkers. I let that drive the theory. Like, right, how can I make these models look like the thing they're supposed to be? And then again, moving on to the dwarves the year after, it was all sort of clan based. So I did freehand on the shields, but not sort of unit by unit. They were the idea was that each one had their own heraldry from their own family that they'd brought on their shield. So you could look across the army and you'd pick out 4 or 5 different shield designs across the army, and you could go, oh, those guys must all be in the same clan, but they're all doing a different job or something like that. And once you've got an idea anchored in your head, you're going to probably have a main color. So like, again, the Night Stalkers are sort of a red pink. Obviously the Rift Forge, there's going to be green in there, really. So that's when you get the color wheel out. Once you've got your primary color, you get your color wheel out then and go, right, what will work with it Do I want a triad of colors? Do I want a direct opposite? And I sort of go from there. If you've never heard of Adobe Color, then Adobe Color is really useful. It's just a free website that you can go on, have a look at Color Wheel, and you can select various color schemes based on one color, and it's really useful. That's another top tip.
I mean, I have
There you go.
a printout. I mean,
Yeah.
how to say? I am an analog guy. I am old now, so I have this. There is this. How to say? A template on it. I marked this on. I don't know if you can see this in camera. I marked it on
Oh
clear
yeah.
foil to put it over it, and
Yeah.
so I can choose when I say this is my main color, and then
Yep.
I have the temperament and all colors in there that I need it. So if someone isn't fond of going every time to a website or don't know, just print it out once, get a template done, and then you can. Because I find this easier to have a reference next to my table in physical form. I can always look at into and not always need to look at a computer or something like that.
Yeah,
So
I see that.
Also something I found easy is to get when I have chosen my colors or what I got, to get one of the official model artworks or box arts.
Yep.
Strip the colors from there, took a black and white, and then either paint it on with the colors I want to have in a rough outlaid details, or color that in Paint or Photoshop to just have a printout, and then a reference that when I cannot paint on a regular basis or need to have a pause to can go back and see, okay, these are the colors I want to have on each detail, so to remember things.
Yeah, that's it. Again, I've got into the habit as well of trying to write stuff down, especially if you're army painting. Quite often I'll do an army in sort of two halves. So I'll sit and paint the initial batch of them, and then I'll need a break. So if you've been painting green orcs forever and ever and ever, I might do half the army, and then I'll switch over to a couple of display projects or something that Mantic want me to do, and then I'll go back to the army. And then if you're scratching your head going, what did I do here? Yeah, get into the habit of writing it down. It's also good for when you need to go and rebuy your colours because your paints have run out. Like, what did I use on that one? Oh right, yeah, I've got it written down.
Yeah, I mean, talking about painting colors, which is your favorite brand, or do you have a favorite brand, or do you buy all over what's in your shop or local shop around the corner?
I am all over the place. Is the honest answer to that. I do tend to favour scale 75, but the reason for it is a really rubbish reason. The reason for it is because they produce paint sets that are complementary to each other. So if you ever look at scale 75 paint sets, you'll get like a colours of nature paint set, and it'll all be different kinds of greens that go with each other. So it makes your, like, when you do choose a color scheme, if you go, okay, so I want a sort of like a nice royal blue, you can pick up one of those paint sets and it'll say, there's your royal blue base tone, there's what you want for your shadow, there's what you want for your highlight, and they're just neatly organized, and I find the paints to be a decent quality. But in terms of paint quality, I think they're all much of a muchness. Like, that might be controversial. I know that. Well, I know that some people get married to a paint brand, don't they? But
yeah,
like my paint racks have all sorts of stuff on them. I'm pointing at them, but they have all sorts of stuff on them from years gone by through to like I've bought a few Pro Acryl, the Monument Hobbies ones, just because they do happen to be in my local in in town.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I'm quite mercenary when it comes to when it comes to either paint brands or model brands as well. Like, I'm not loyal to a particular company.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. I can get behind when some people prefer a single band and try to stay there. I myself, I'm like, yeah, my paint rack is, which you can't see now because the cat is sitting in front of it. But it's like there's everything on there, like from what I can get at the local store, because this is something I prefer to do. Like when I run out of a color, to go online, needing to order it, to wait for it, is
Yeah,
something I can't get. So it's when the local store, those are the brands the local store carry. Those are my brands. They might not be the best quality, but they are available and easy to get. So this is on my.
yeah,
And when they have 5 different brands, this is the 5 different brands I carry and
yeah.
use.
I'm quite lucky with that because we do have a decent a decent stockist of like you go into our local and they do have all of the brands you'd expect through. So I think they have some scale 75, but they have like Green Stuff World and GW and everything in between. So yeah, I'm quite lucky in that respect. Really, I live sort of not far from a city centre, so you do tend to find that you get a decent hobby shop somewhere.
Yeah. It's always good. So for everyone out there, try to buy local. Try to buy something that is easy for get to you, and not just something that someone on the internet recommends as the best colors. And shipment is expensive and hard to get, and always sold out. This is
Yeah,
just getting
absolutely.
frustrating, and things like that.
Mm.
Um, when we already talking about the colors, so how do you feel about speed painting versus lab job, realistic details, or the comic style? So the usual internet trends that come and go on that.
And it's I think it's difficult because I'm quite old school and I do get set in my ways. I think speed paints are brilliant, but they're targeted towards a specific kind of painter, which is absolutely great. I use them, but you hear a lot of painters say this. I use them, but not as they're intended to be used. So I use quite a lot of contrast paint from GW. It's brilliant because it glazes very well. So if you thin it down, it glazes very well. Or also, it acts as a wash at a pinch, and the drying time is a lot faster.
Yeah,
Which for me, like I said, if you're turning through armies, then having to sit and wait 45 minutes for a shade to dry properly, it's a pain. So I'd rather use a contrast paint instead of it. Has basically the same effect, but with a bit more control. So I like speed paints for that. In terms of the sort of slap chop thing that's been hanging around for the last couple of years, uh, hand hand on heart, I've never tried it. Maybe I should.
yeah,
um, and like you said, I know that a good few of my gaming group use it a lot, and it seems to work really well, especially at a game like Kings where you are painting as many as you're painting.
yeah,
Um, Absolutely, like everything has a place, and there's no wrong way of doing it, is there? Um, and then yeah, like I said, you hit the question of like I touched on before. Do you go for like volumetric highlights? Do you go for like what's termed as the heavy metal style, like I said, where you're painting everything as if it's all under the same light value? So everything has its place. You've just got to find that place. So, like you said, I wouldn't want to be volumetrically highlighting models for Mantic because it wouldn't give a fair representation of that thing on the front of the box.
yeah,
Um, and equally, if you're doing army painting, you wouldn't want to start volumetrically highlighting a hero when the rest of the army isn't, because it also wouldn't read right. Um,
yeah.
that said, I have been known to enter the odd painting competition and push myself to do a decent display level piece, and I've had a bit of success with it. None of the big ones,
Yeah.
but then I will try it. I will try and do some fancier NMM and some sort of bounce lights and reflections and things like that. But that's the right home for it in that environment. So yeah, absolutely. I think there's no wrong way of doing it, but you've just got to find the style, find the slot for the right style, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And find something you can do and like to do, and not do it because someone else said that's the new trend. I mean,
Yeah, that's another thing, and like you said, there is a lot of, like, you see it especially around this time of year because it's just been the Golden Demon weekend of,
yeah,
like, how do you rate painting? It's an artistic endeavor, isn't it? How do you put an arbitrary scaling system on what's better than another? It's all down to personal taste at the end of the day.
yeah,
And are you doing it for display? Are you doing it to get it done? Are you doing it because the tournament that you're playing in next week says that you've got to have a fully painted army. You've just bought a new one. Like you said, you can't say one thing's better than another. These things do go in trends. If you go back far enough, I can remember when Grey Knights came out for 40k, and it coincided with people discovering airbrushes for the first time, and everybody had just that. Those blades had those airbrush blue to white fades on them. Everybody did it. It's just a trend. These things will go in.
I think, was it 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy when I saw the first time those slap chop style painting come around, because everyone wanted those dark and dirty Marauders and Chaos Knights and things like that. So because this was like the black and white dark artworks in the army books, which were opposite to what the colorful ones we had before, where everything was in bright red and things like that, and anything but the green base from was like already controversial, and then it went to dark and slap chop painting the year later. So trends really come and go and things. And I think also some like the early, what's now 20 25 years ago, Games Workshop or the Citadel Paint Bench already had some contrast style paints.
I bet it will have had the old Devil and Mud. I bet you're talking about that era.
Yeah, no, that the one before they had some inks. It was called
possibly,
the old Citadel inks, which were then replaced by the new washes like the Devil and Mud and things like that. But the old inks were very much more like the contrast paints are now, but with a glossy finish.
Yeah, I do remember them. I didn't have many of them, but yeah, I do remember
because
them.
this is I knew just someone in a local club painted his Elder with those, like, because he found a white primer and then this blue ink on top of them was enough to make that fully shiny painted army that looked good. And then when he was halfway through, they changed the range and he couldn't get his hands on the ink anymore.
Well, that's the danger, isn't it, with sticking to one range? If it gets changed, then what do you do? But yeah, these things come in trends. Like, do you remember even going back 2 or 3 years when everyone discovered AK Interactive's Ultra Matte Varnish and everything became matted down? Like, these things go in trends.
It's always interesting to follow this a little bit, because sometimes people discover things that you knew or were aware of for years now, and now it's something, we saw something new on the internet and now everyone is doing it.
But it's like everything. It's like everything in pop culture ever, isn't it? You know, like music is inspired by whatever the next groundbreaking music is doing. Films are the same. I'm sure that the authors and all the rest of it. Every creative endeavor ever is going to be inspired by what's happening at the time. What society says is the thing to do, right?
And I also like those non-metal things come in waves, because I remember 20 years ago, everyone tried to put non-metal in that. Then there came the airbrush metal colors, and now it's going back to realistic true metal, because for one reason or the other. So
and OSL is another one. Like doing object source lighting. That's another one that. The first instance of that, if anybody can remember, the first instance anybody saw of that was a Golden Demon winner called Victoria Lamb, and she'd done, the piece was called The Burning of Sister Joan, and it was based around Mordheim, and it was a send up of Joan of Arc, and she was being burnt at the stake, and the fire was glowing out against the wall, and it was and everybody looked at it and it blew minds. It's just trends, isn't it? And like I said, it's interesting. Like I said, and do I follow them? I probably do to a degree, but
I mean, I did once, because I have an OSL Corn army painted back in those days. So kind of. It's like trying. It's also, you get inspired by something new, because if it's really something you haven't done before and now you see, this is now available, you can also, because if it's a trend, it's easy to get tutorials online now.
Yes,
you don't need to figure it on your own, so it's easy to follow and replicate now, compared when you have to came up with your own stuff. Which has disadvantages. You can be the first, or you can practice and become one of the best. It's whatever you do. So staying in there because doing online tutorials, what are your tips on learning and improving and avoid being frustrated during that time?
Mhm. That's a good question. I think that it depends what you see painting as. This is always a good one. Like I always say that it sounds cheesy, and the people in my chat on a Wednesday night on my streams are like, "Oh yeah, this again." But for me, painting is a bit of an escape from the world. So I like to have my desk clear, a warm cup of tea, and like your mind in the right place, and whatever's happened
Mm.
during the day, you leave all that at the door, and this is the zone where I can come into this room and I can sit and concentrate. And because of that, I very rarely get stressed or worry about it. It like this is my winding down at the end of the day activity. So in terms of how to avoid sort of stress and that sort of side of it, that's that like turn it into a ritual where that's not involved. It's a weird thing to kind
Mm.
of get your head around, but that's what I find sort of helps me. If I sit down to paint, I'm sitting down to paint, and it like sometimes it goes wrong. A few models have defeated me in the past, but at the end of the day, like unless it's a really expensive model, he's pointing at that thing over his shoulder. Unless it's a really expensive model, it's just a piece of plastic. And I know that some people have this thing where they say, "Oh, I'm gonna buy the Lord of Lies, and he's gonna sit in the box over there until I'm good enough to paint him. And then when I'm good enough to paint him, I'm going to give him the best paint job." But I've never painted anything in my life before, and I don't know how to give him the best paint job. So he's just going to sit over there for 4 years.
Yeah.
The answer is get the Lord of Lies out of the box, paint him, do it. Just do it. Turn it into a routine where you try and paint every day, and don't get don't stress about it if something goes wrong. It's way easier to say than do. All these things are.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting some models to practice in is always a good idea. Like if you want to try something out, get an old model or buy a box of cheap zombies or
Yes,
whatever just to try things out. And how to say it sounds rough now, but there's always the possibility if something really goes wrong to strip the paint off again with an alcohol or a mix
there is.
of PVC cleaners. So
Yeah, I don't often strip stuff. In fact, I've only ever stripped one thing in recent memory, and it's because the primer went wrong.
yeah,
But it only
I
happened
can
once.
relate.
Yeah. I got betrayed by Chaos Black. That never happens. But yeah, I don't tend to strip stuff. But one thing that I've realized as well is if you're on it and you're quick, if you do make a mistake and you put a brush stroke out of place, if you're quick enough with with acrylic paint, you can wash it off before it's dried.
Mm,
You have to be fast, but you can do. I do it once a week on stream because I'll be streaming something and something will go wrong and I'll go, here's the bit where I show you how to repair it really quick and
yeah.
repair it really quick. It can be done, but it just it takes confidence, and like
Mm,
anything that takes confidence, you need to sit down, you need to practice at it. Like one of the things that you always see the high level painters get asked, and I've been asked it a few times, is, "Oh, how long did that take you?" Like, "Oh, you know, there's a new depth horrors. How long did it take to paint them?" And I could say, "Oh, well, they were about 3 hours each or whatever it was." But then the reality is that yeah, it's taken 3 hours to sit down and paint that model, but it's also taken 3 hours of my time every weekday night for 25 years to get to the level I am. So
mm,
So the answer is sit down, do it, practice, rinse and repeat. And it's the hard answer because nobody wants to hear it. Everybody wants to pick something up and be instantly good at it. But with something like this, it's just not how it works. It just takes reps. It just takes hammering it, and it almost becomes part of your lifestyle. And that's a big thing. Like if you're happy doing that, which I am, then great. But if you're not happy doing that, you're also going to have to understand that it's going to take you a lot longer to get to the level that,
yeah.
that you're striving for.
So, you said before that you got the resin masters sent from Mantic to paint. Did you ever get model kits? And if you got model kits, how much freedom do you have to build them or to do conversions?
So, I get sent the 3D printed prototypes. So this is a question I've had a few times, especially when the news broke from Forth, because I obviously I painted the Placoderms, and a lot of people messaged me saying, "Oh, what are the sprues like?" And I was like, "I don't know." Because I get sent a 3D printed version, and a few people commented saying, "Oh, I bet it was a nightmare taking all the mold lines off the two-handed swords that they've got."
Yeah.
They're like, because they've got shark teeth down them. People were saying, "I bet it was a nightmare cleaning the mold lines off those." And I sat there going, "I don't know," because I didn't have to, because they were all 3D printed. But yeah, so in terms of the sprues, I don't know. I get sent the 3D masters, but they are in components. But they're components similar to how you'd expect all metal cast models to be, where you've got two hands on a sword. You can see the guy in the front left there. He'll have his two arms and a sword as one piece that's been printed, and they'll clip onto his torso, and then that'll be it. So yeah, like I said, and I think from when I started painting for Mantic, some of the first ones I did for some of the Halo models, I think at that point they were the first 3D printed masters that they had done, because the very, very first things they sent me were resin cast masters, and they were very, very clean, very, very clean. And then
Mm.
they were like, "Hey, do you want to? We'll commission you to paint some of the box art ones." I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And they sent me the first round of box art ones, and they were like the first 3D printed ones that they had done themselves, and they were a little bit ropey, because they were obviously learning 3D printing. Sorry, Mantic, if you're listening.
Oh, no.
Um,
Back to everyone is learning all the time.
yeah, exactly right. And I think that they'd probably admit it as well. Whereas the later stuff, like the heroes, well, no, not the heroes, the champions from Champions, um, they they were a lot cleaner. So they've obviously figured something out as they've gone along. And then up to these guys, like I said, those Xirkaali were more or less just like painting a regular plastic model. They were really good quality.
Hmm.
So yeah. But unfortunately, you can't ask me about sprues because I just don't know.
Yeah, it's of course it's no, it's just always interesting because sometimes you see like we have seen this with the Nagari model that they were all so how to say the final frame was much more flexible than the promo models showed in
Oh
the
right, okay.
painting, and then it's always the question: is this is like is there being restricted on what you can build, or are this because these are master models and things like that? So
Yeah.
this is like the
Yeah, like I said, I would imagine that they will have sprue options pretty much the same as every other sort of recent Mantic model I've built, like sort of the Night Stalkers and the Twilight Kin, whereas you will build model A, B, or C, and you could chop and change them, you could sort of convert them a bit, kit bash them a bit, but I think the reality is that they will be designed to be built as a model A, B, C, or D,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
I mean, that this is something like people like me who don't care, who clip out all the parts of the frame first and then try to assemble it, and then it just everything
Yeah.
that doesn't fit gets a knife treatment. And
Yeah, that is one thing that they could do is get some decent instructions in there as to, even if it's just an
yeah,
exploded diagram of model A to show you which one's which. Then yeah,
yeah.
they
I
could
mean,
do with it.
I can get behind that some that instructions are useful and some people need them actually built, but I'm like, how to say, I'm hardly ever building a model like it is in the
Hmm.
instruction of all it, because I want to make my models, my own stuff. So if like the first one is built like it should be, and everything else is just done roughly or kit bash and conversion just to get my take on those models. So I don't need the instruction because I don't follow them anyway.
Yeah, fair.
But it's like, but I can relate on people who want a rough guideline or don't like to kit bash and things like that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
So this is so the Mantic has improved on that one as well. Like in the
Yeah.
very early days when it like to figure it out on yourself, and nobody knew what the bits in there were and things like that
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's
I think Mantic generally are getting better at everything they do. Like you look back a few years and there were some rough edges to it, and I think they'd admit that themselves, but they're definitely getting there. Like
mm,
I was I was like I hadn't seen the full range of Xirkaali until everybody else did. Obviously I'd seen the things that I'd painted, I'd seen some concepts, and I'd seen a few of um the other what they called Hermesian models, but I'd seen them done off the bases and sort of half painted and things like that. So when the fourth on the Friday when the fourth reveal dropped, I was really impressed with it. I'll be honest with you, and this is not just me shilling for Mantic, but I I was way more impressed with it than I thought I was going to be. I think a big old banner on your website of here's fourth edition, this is the new faction, here's everything. I think that was I enjoyed that, and I think they've sort of
yeah.
they've done very well.
I mean, I have seen the trailer video first with the new faction, and I was
Mm.
like blown away by the quality of the faction and the video. Like this was really an awesome trailer to get you into that. So compared
Hmm.
to what we got for third edition or even in second edition, so you can see that the improvement over the years they do. So
Yeah.
they are eager to learn as well and try to get better and not just sit there and they always try sometimes something new that didn't work out
Mm.
and have to change it. So this is like it happens.
I think it's good that
Um,
they can do that and take that risk. And if it doesn't go wrong, they've not thrown everything into it. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I like the fact that they test the water a little bit first. Does this work? Does this not work? Can we do a full launch? Yes, it works. Bam, let's go. Yeah, I think it
yeah.
works well.
Um, Talking about the Xirkaali,
Mm.
which one were more fun to paint, the Placoderms or the Xirkaali models?
um, I is it. I think out of the stuff I did for fourth, I think my favourite stuff was probably the depth horrors. Um, yeah, those guys. I think they're very characterful. Um,
Mm,
I like all the little nautical touches that they've got on there. Like obviously the ship's wheel is on there. I think and like there's the sort of rusty chains. I think they're all very cool. Um, obviously the both of those both those and the placoderms have been fan favorites for a while. You know, people have been asking for them for ages, haven't they? The placoderms I got sent Ector, the special character.
mm,
Um, so they sent me him, and they said basically do the same paint scheme, but like a lot more blue, a lot more sort of royal blue. Um, and like it's not that they weren't enjoyable, but they're all very one color. So it was a lot of time. Yeah, there he is. That's the guy. Um, but yeah, they were. It was a lot of time highlighting a lot of blue, because when you're doing troops of units like for display quality, I'm treating each one as an individual. I'm not doing my normal trick of probably dry brushing the armor and then picking out a shield.
yeah.
You know, they've got to be to a reasonable standard because that's what I'm being paid for. So yeah, like the placoderms, they were good, but they were a slog by the end of them. I'll be honest.
Yeah, okay. How much freedom do you had with the bases? Was this your own decision to make them as they are, or was this from Mantic to so that they have all their paintings uniform across the different?
It's pretty much a Mantic decision. Like if anybody wants to replicate it, it's Games Workshop's Baneblade Brown is the official Mantic basing color. Um, so yeah, they're basically like did put some texture on it, Baneblade Brown it, and then I think I put the tufts on. You can tell my stuff because it's got tufts on, and some of the other stuff hasn't. But yeah, that was about it. Like I said, it's not. I don't think you want overblown bases. You could, but then it'll look like it's part of the kit. And at the end of the day, you're showing off those models to show what you get in
Yeah,
that box.
I mean,
So
um, overblown bases. I think they help for those people who struggle with a paint job or struggle with painting in general, but are better at building or model building and things like that. So I have seen people who compensate an average paint job with doing awesome bases, and this is something like
And it totally
Kings
works
of
as
War is
well.
really a good way to do it. So this is your game. You can make an awesome looking army, but just doing really good bases with the basing material out there. So I know
Yeah.
some elderly guys, if I can say that way, who came from model trains
Mm.
and come into wargaming and found diorama bases. They make awesome bases, but really struggle with the paint job on models because it's like
Yeah.
they learned a very different style of painting from this hobby,
Yeah.
and but still the armies look awesome. So this is like you can
Yeah, it's a lot like when you get old school like military modelers, and like they'll paint a Sherman tank, and the weathering will be fantastic, and it'll be so realistic, and then there'll be a guy sat in the top of it with a face like he's got a face made out of chewing gum, and you think,
yeah. it's
yeah, I know what you mean. It's
yeah.
a different set of skills, though, isn't it?
Yeah. But this is the one thing I really like in Kings of War because of the models and diorama basing options. You can really go into the skill you are good at and do the things you like and you have to do and don't need to go though because you don't have to do individual bases and need to watch
Yeah,
out. You can just like you use 4 models for a regiment and get an awesome terrain set up there because this is what you
yeah.
can do. I can do good and not painting. So
Yeah, well, I
can be
think
different focus.
one of my favorite tricks that I've learned through doing Kings of War armies is that, and this is probably because I'm old school as well. I do like an army to look like a full army in like ranks and files and look like there's just a load of guys. But what I do like is breaking out of old Warhammer Fantasy from many years ago is putting the banner in the back ranks, so the banner sort of rises above the unit from the back rather than the front, and it makes it look so much more dramatic, and it makes it, to my mind, a lot more tactical sense as well. Like, you're going to want your rallying banner guy protected by the guys who are going to do the fight. Like, why would you have a guy holding a stick in the front rank?
So a quick intermission here for everyone who hears a dog winceling and barking in the background. This is mine. And it's because I'm currently alone at home, and the cat is allowed to sleep in front on my desk, and so he's very jealous and cannot get quiet because usually he's just sleeping behind me, but today he is like on a jealous thing and wants some more attention. So sorry for that one.
He's excited about Xirkaali, it's obvious.
Yeah, there's a dog army coming, so you know what.
Exactly right.
Um,
Yeah.
so one last question regarding painting in general.
Mhm.
How do you keep consistent? Like I know people often struggles when they pause and lose skill or don't practice for a while and things like that. So how do you try to keep the consistency also when you do different paint jobs on a different level for different?
I think the answer is, part of the answer, and it's a boring answer, is just don't stop. um, but um, but within that, I would say vary what you're doing. If you vary what you're doing, you keep your mind sharp. So if you are doing model after model after model, that's the same thing. And I've been there, and it's part of army painting. It's part of what you need to do. So, like I said, if you're doing Rift Forged Orc after Rift Forged Orc after Rift Forged Orc, throw something that's nothing to do with that project in there just to sharpen your mind. Like, throw a character in there, and your brush skills, you'll have to use a different set of brush skills just for a couple of evenings a week. And that, and then once you click back into your Rift Forged or whatever it be, you go, oh yeah, I remember that, and it keeps that sort of muscle memory going. But yeah, consistency it's a mindset thing, like everything in the world. Probably it's if you're driven enough to want to do it, you'll do it. But you've got to find that thing that makes you want to sit down and paint every night. Like, one of the things that always confuses my colleagues at work is that I watch very little TV. Like, the amount of times that I come into work and they're all like, "Oh, did you watch this on the TV last night?" And I'm like, "Nope." And they're like, what do you do? I'm like, well, I don't watch TV. Like a big sacrifice that I make for painting is the fact that I
Yeah.
barely watch any TV. Um, I used to be quite into video games, and then my son arrived, so video games got cut and painting stayed. So I don't video game. I don't watch TV really. I watch a bit, but not loads. But a lot of my the spare time I have is painting focused, and
Mm.
that's just because I know what I like and I enjoy it, and it's a passion, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the day just has 24 hours and you need some sleep as well. So something need to be cut if you want to do things like that. And I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
it's yeah. So to sum this up, so if someone painting an army and try to keep the consistencies, like don't be all infantry at once and things like that. Just paint a regiment, switch to a hero, paint a
Yeah,
regiment again, make a cavalry, and hero again, and vary
yeah.
your, even if you do that this, if
When
you
it
don't
comes,
have enough models to go completely crazy with what you switch around, but don't try to paint everything from the same type at once, but switch a little bit out.
yeah, I think we refer to this as having your painting pudding or your painting dessert. So, so you have to grind through the main course sometimes, and you have to do that horde of berserkers, and there's going to be 40 of them, and you're going to hate them by the end of it. But then once you finish your berserkers, you can do your lord on chimera, and you can enjoy that. Yeah, it's a good philosophy.
Yeah, okay. And now we have got a good hour in, so we make now our last question, or the last two
Mhm.
questions, which I hope are not too controversial. And if you don't want to answer them, please just say it or don't. And this is like, I read it out all at once. It says like, what's your most liked and most disliked Mantic model? And what's the most liked and disliked model overall? It's
Okay. How long have you got? No, I think the most disliked model has to go to, and it's a lofty perch. It's hard to get to this level of model. It has to go to the dwarf battle driller. I can just leave it there if you want, but
yeah,
it appears to be a dwarf pushing some sort of fantasy lawnmower. I don't know what's going on with it. It's obviously from one of the older ranges. I understand that it's from it's probably nearly 15 years old.
yeah.
But
It
yeah,
was one of the first released, and it was metal, and it's terrible,
mm,
and it's yeah.
mm.
It's,
Yeah, so that does have to take the crown because as well, I genuinely do enjoy the Mantic dwarves. I know that they're not for everybody. I get it, and they look a bit goofy, but I tried to I tried to do a decent job with them, and I feel that in fact that there's the army there. I feel it does look quite good. I think I've managed to pull it around and do something. But the battle driller, that was the one model that I totally kit bashed and converted out of something else. I was like, I can't do anything
yeah.
with that. So yeah, that would definitely be that.
I mean,
Um,
I have it somewhere around here. I
mm,
think I never finished building it.
mm.
I replaced it with some old other dwarf models I got. So it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's I
kind of
can
needed
relate to
doing.
that. It's
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be worse. Best, um, it's honestly, it's a bit of a tie. Can I have 2? Can I pick 2?
yeah, yeah, we can have to.
I'd like I really like the Lord of Lies. I know that a lot of people, I know he's very popular and a lot of people would say that.
Yeah.
Um, I do like it. It is a big demon sculpt, and we have seen lots of big demon sculpts before. But it's a very good centerpiece, and like at some point I will paint one of them. I was tempted to do abyssals for my 4th army, for my new army in the new year, but they'll probably play too similar to Riftforged in that they'll be a combat army, so I probably won't.
Mm,
But yeah, I think yeah, he's very good, um, and I honestly think, and it may be because it's just shiny novelty factor, but the what's the new Xirkaali uh, female leader called?
the
Uh,
matriarch.
yeah, I think she's one of the most characterful models that they've done.
Yeah.
I like the Xirkaali because they're pretty original, and that's a perfect blend of the two halves of this is an Eastern Dog army. I think that's a perfect blend of those two ideas, and I look forward to getting one of them. That will make a fine bit of painting dessert at some point. Yeah.
Mm.
And then generally outside of Mantic or outside of Kings of War.
In general, so everything. You can also throw a 20-year-old model in there, or from a scale model range if you have something like that.
Ooh, okay. I think I know my favorite. Actual worst is a very hard call, isn't it? Like there's been some stinkers out there.
Yes.
Actual worst is. Do you know what? She'll not me for, she'll hate me for saying this, but it's all right. She's not going to listen to it. If you've ever seen Annie Norman's Turkey Man, then Annie Norman is Bad Squiddo Games.
Yeah.
She does all of the more realistic female miniatures, and she has one at the moment. It's a bit of a cult classic called Turkey Man, and it's sort of a half turkey, half man, and it's awful. It's a cult classic, and everybody loves it. But if you look at it, it's quite repulsive. So I think that's. I'm not going to say it's the worst model ever, but it's a special mention. Sorry, Annie, she's going to hate me for that. And honestly, this is going to be a weird choice. My favorite design of model, and there's been several of them through the history, it is a Games Workshop model. Sorry, but I really like Arriva Titan from the 40k universe, whether or not it's Adeptus Titanica scale or 40k scale. Something about them, first of all, it takes me back to my childhood, which is, so there's nostalgia value there. I can remember pouring through pages of White Dwarf as a kid and going, they're cool, like they're unique, there's something weird about them, there's something imperial about them. I like the Beetleback design, everything about it is cool. I'm a big Titan fanboy as well, on the quiet. So yeah, like if anybody says what's your favorite model, it's definitely Arriva Titan, hands down.
I mean, I can understand the Titan thing, because it's like, for me, it's coming from a different background, because I was into Battletech when I was young. So of course, the big robot stuff, this has something going. So this is like, I know for a lot of people it's the 40k Titans, and for the others it's Battletech, but it is the same niche of model range in there. So it's like I can fully understand this what's going on there. And
absolutely.
Okay, so
sweet.
Yeah, I would have to say, and also the just to not leave anyone out, the third kind of those robot duck is the Gundam stuff, obviously. So we haven't forgotten it. So those are the three big childhood nostalgia thing. It's Battletech, the 40k Titans, and Gundam. Those are the ones that the people are craving for and usually mention when someone is on the model side of things.
So, absolutely. Excellent.
Okay. So, and before we finish this episode, let's have also some advertising. So, Glen, you have your live streams on Twitch. Which day and date we have to log in to follow you?
So yeah, you can find me on the Gonders, which is generally me across the internet. It's an old gamer tag from when I used to play StarCraft. But yeah, you can find me under Gonders_paints on Instagram. You can find me under Gonders on Twitch, and I stream Wednesday nights at generally 8 p.m. GMT or UK time. Generally for a couple of hours. I'm not there every day of every week, but Wednesdays are the night to catch me. And you can also catch me on Blue Sky as well under Gonders. So yeah, those are the places to find me.
Okay. So, dear listeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any further questions, leave a comment on YouTube, on Spotify, join our Discord, join Glen on whatever channel you're watching, ask him directly if you have any questions, hobby tips, or what models you want to see from him. I hope we get you back on again a little bit later, maybe after you painted the Xirkaali for showing off some stuff, or with Clash 26 battle report. And yeah,
absolutely. Well, thank you for having me on. Like I said, it's been good fun.
Thank you for coming in. And dear listeners, have a good morning, day, or night, whenever you're listening, and goodbye.
See you soon.